Hello and happy fall, y'all. Welcome back to my channel, Comfort and Joy with the Lady Curry, and welcome back to my 31 Days of Fall series. Today, in episode 5, I will be sharing my pumpkin spice cake. This is a recipe share, so come on guys, come bake with me. First, I'm going to start off by sifting all of my dry ingredients together. You have your 3 cups of flour, your 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and your 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. I like kosher salt instead of the table salt. And we're going to sift that all through. We're going to aerate all of the dry ingredients. That's what sifting is. It's just the aeration of your ingredients so to make a more tender and fluffier cake. So we're going to do that, and we're going to set that aside. Now next, I'm going to dump in 2 sticks of room temperature butter. I normally take my ingredients out the night before and just let it come to room temperature so they're ready to roll the next day. So I'm going to dump 2 sticks. Normally it would call for like 3 to 4 sticks, but I did cut this recipe down because family members and things, you know, they have diabetes and high blood pressure and all that good stuff. So I made sure I found a recipe that would kind of cut fat and things where you can, just to keep your loved ones safe and healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and cream my butter and make it more of a creamier consistency before I add my sugar. So while that's working, I'm just going to chill and do some other thing. Okay, so now that my butter is a more smooth and creamier consistency, I'm going to add 3 cups of granulated white sugar. You can add brown sugar for those who do not like adding white sugar. But 3 cups of sugar right here. I'm doing my white granulated sugar. So that's my 2nd cup in, and then I'm going to add the 3 and let them combine all together until your butter and your sugar mixture is light and fluffy. And this process is just kind of beating down your sugar granules so that it can create a more, again, tender cake. So you want to make sure that you give your mixture time to cream and let the butter absorb that sugar, and it'll turn almost like a fluffy mousse texture, and that's going to offer you a nice fluffy cake. Okay, so since this process takes about a minute or so, I'm adding my pumpkin spice. I'm going to do about a good tablespoon of pumpkin spice, about 1 to 2 teaspoons or 1 good tablespoon. You want to incorporate that into the flour mixture as well. And the pumpkin spice will permeate throughout your flour mixture, so you just see me going in. I'm going to use a whisk, and I'm going to incorporate all of that yummy pumpkin spice goodness, child. Let me tell you, when I say it's so yummy, I love it. Pumpkin spice, this makes everything nice. So yes, I'm going in and whisking through and just incorporating that. And I'm going to set that aside because now comes the time for me to add my eggs. All right, I also want to add, before I move on to the next part, which is adding the eggs, make sure that you scrape down your bowl. You see me here scraping the sides down, and make sure you get underneath. Sometimes with these mixers, they don't reach all the way to the bottom, so you have to manually go in and scrape down and under your bowl. Okay, now you see how our mixture has turned lighter and fluffier. This comes from just allowing it to beat and incorporate each of the ingredients, the butter and the sugar. And you see how fluffy, see how it looks like it's more of a dense mousse almost. You see how nice and incorporated the mixture became. So now we really are ready for the next step. Okay, so my recipe calls for 6 eggs, 6 room temperature eggs, and you can also set your 6 eggs out along with your butter the night before and just allow them to come to room temperature. So you don't want to use cold eggs because it's going to seize up your butter. All that hard work that you did fluffing that stuff out, if you use cold eggs, it's going to make your butter hard. So then I don't even know what that will look like because I've never done it. I just have always listened to my grandmother, and she always told me to use room temperature ingredients when baking, especially when you're using butter, because you don't want it to seize up. Butter and chocolate, those things will seize up on you. And child, sometimes you can retrieve your mixtures and things, and other times you can't. So this calls for 6 eggs. Incorporate them one at a time, one at a time. Let them just mix in, and you probably will need to, in between every every few, scrape down your bowl as well, just to make sure that you're incorporating all of your eggs as well throughout the mixture. Okay, so after you add all 6 of your eggs, you're going to do the same process that you did with your butter and sugar mixture. You're going to allow this combination to beat for a minute or two, a few minutes, so it can be nice and fluffy. And you also want to make sure, you see what I'm doing here, I'm scraping down my bowl because you want to make sure that everything gets incorporated. You don't want little pockets of under blended mixture to be left behind, and then you might get a heavy or wet spot in a cake when you bake it and you have your finished product. If your cake is not baked all the way through, that could be a reason, because you didn't scrape down and a little pocket of under blended mixture was left behind. So make sure, ladies, that you scrape your bowls, and it's going to turn into a really smooth and fluffy mixture. Okay, now it's time to add our dry ingredient mixture along with our our milk mixture to our egg, butter, and sugar mixture. So what we're going to do, you see there, I have milk, vanilla extract, pumpkin spice cream, and I think that was it. And I'm going to add that, I'm going to alternate that. So I'm going to start with my dry mixture. I'm going to do 3 and 2. So I'm going to do 1/3 dry mixture, half of my milk mixture. You see how I am going to slowly just drizzle up to half of my milk mixture, my pumpkin spice milk mixture. And then I'm going to follow behind that with another third, you can eyeball it, of my dry mixture. Make sure that it's incorporated. And you want to do this process fairly slow. 2 reasons: because you don't want to wear everything, and then you want to make sure that it gets beat and blended slowly so it can, incorporate the best it can. All while you do want to fluff it up as well, manually go in and mix it through as well. But yes, and let me just take the time to say my milk mixture was also room temperature. I took my milk out that morning and let it kind of sit and come to room temperature. I added, I want to say 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, pure vanilla extract if you have it. And then I also added a half a cup of pumpkin spice creamer and a half a cup of half and half. You can do heavy cream or milk, low fat, no fat, it doesn't matter. But that's what I did to just kind of bump up that spice, the pumpkin spice flavor. I wanted to get as much flavor in as possible. So that's what I'm doing here. I added the 3 and 2 incorporation. So 1/3 dry ingredients, half a cup of your wet ingredients, 1/3 of your dry ingredients, the other half of your wet ingredients, and then you follow up with that last 1/3 of your dry ingredients and let that come together really nice and fluffy. And you don't want to, at this point, you don't want to overbeat your batter because you might come out with a tougher cake. So I would say let it beat for a minute or so and then go in and just hand blend the remaining of that batter just so it can be more tender. And you don't want to overbeat it because it will make it really tough, not as fluffy and tender as you would like it to come out. So yes, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to just manually finish up folding in my cake mixture. So we're at the end of all of our work. So yes. Okay, so my last and final step for putting in as much pumpkin flavor, pumpkin spice flavor in my cake is I went in and did a couple of tablespoons of pumpkin curd. This stuff I picked up at, I want to say Home Goods, and this stuff is so yummy. I had to literally look on the website. I'm going to order probably a case of it. That it's that good. Trust me, it is that good. So I put in, I think I want to say here 3 tablespoons full of it, and I just folded it in to my cake mixture, and it won't distract, take away, or ruin your cake. It's just an additive, and it doesn't really destroy or change your cake mixture. It won't make it too moist, too wet, or anything like that. I believe, I'm almost positive I just did 3 tablespoons of this mixture, and I mean, the cake was so good. But yeah, so you see I folded it manually in. You see I'm going in and I'm folding manually. I'm not letting the machine, my KitchenAid, do this. I'm doing it with my hand because I want to make sure I control how much I mix, but I also want to make sure that I incorporate and just still aerate my mixture because I am continually mixing. And when you do that, you sometimes will get into the territory of over mixing your batters, and that will give you a tougher cake. So in order to keep a lighter and tender cake, I would say always finish off with hand mixing. So now I'm going in and I'm going to use a measuring cup to fill my loaf tins, my loaf pans or my tins, just so each cake can be as uniform as possible. What I did beforehand is I did spray each of these tins with a little bit of Pam cooking spray just so my cakes would not stick. And I'm going in to fill all 8. I believe I ended up with 8 of these tins. Okay, so after I filled up each of my loaf tins, I'm going ahead and sprinkling on some semi-sweet chocolate chips on 2 of the loaf cakes. For more variety, I'm going ahead and adding pumpkin seeds on 2 more of my loaf cakes, my pumpkin spice loaf cakes, just to add more variety. Some people can't do seeds or nuts, so I'm just adding 2. Okay, now for my next set of pumpkin loaf cakes, I'm going to just sprinkle on some pumpkin spice just right on top of my loaf pans. And the next 2 I'm leaving just super plain. Just plain, nothing added, because I have in mind a couple of loved ones who I want to give these cakes to, and some have different dietary needs and things that require different things. So here they are. They're about to go into my preheated oven of 350. Now keep in mind also that because we're not doing a bundt pan or regular cake pan, your cooking time will be shorter. All right, now here you have your finished cakes, all golden brown and yummy. And let me tell y'all, if y'all could just smell the smell that I'm smelling, you guys would love fall even more. But y'all know it. Y'all know, whoever knows what Lady Curry can churn out of her ovens, and y'all have tasted the cakes before, y'all know what it is. But anyway, these cakes smell heavenly. They are just exquisite looking, and they're just ready to go and bless some of my friends and loved ones. All right, so now let me go ahead and do a taste test. I just cannot wait to cut into this cake. It's still nice and warm, and I'm going to try one of the pumpkin seed topped cakes. So I'm going to try it and let you guys know how it tastes. Oh my goodness. That is divine. That is divine. Wow. So good. This was so good. It's just pumpkin spice overload. It's so good. It almost puts you in the mind of a sweet potato cake too. So I'm gonna also do a sweet potato cake, but these are so delicious. So I'm packing this up for my mother and my sister, and probably one for my brother. So this one is the chocolate chip. You can see them peeking through here. This is straight plain, and then this has just a sprinkle of pumpkin spice on the top. But these are divine, and let me tell you, the smell that was emanating out of the oven. If I could go by the smell, these cakes are going to be absolutely fantastic, and the smell did not lie. So yes, so I'm going to bag these up as well, and I'm keeping this one for myself. I might keep the other chocolate chip one. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll see what I can do. And because normally baked goods here, we don't go through them fast enough. We like snacking, but we are not like junk cake eaters. So we don't eat a lot. But these, boy, I tell you, this with my pumpkin spice coffee and my apple cider and my cocoa. Oh my goodness. Matter of fact, maybe that's what I'll do. I may freeze one so I can have one further down the road, and I'll gift the other 3 to friends and loved ones. So, ooh, I'm in a baking mood, y'all. But okay, guys, comfort and joy. Wishing you all the comfort and the joy from my heart to yours.